Hey booze, hey, do your blankets feel like super glue in the morning? Well sis, it's time to shake them off. Welcome to Wake Up Happy Sis, the show that jumpstarts your day with a bang. We're strolling down these self-care streets as we navigate the maze of wellness and healing. We're helping you live happy, healed, and whole. And we do it all with a hearty dose of belly laughs for good measure. Stay tuned and get ready to wake up happy, sis. Welcome, everybody. Hey, booze. Hey, it's your girl, Leanne Dose, your Chief Self-Love Officer over here, Wake Up Happy Sis. And you're tuned into another episode of the Wake Up Happy Sis Show. We're broadcasting live on KCCR Cityscape Radio, where we're changing the narrative for our people because we're always telling our story our way. Today, we're embarking on a transformative journey with our new episode, Boldly Unbroken. Confronting Trauma with Courage. Now, this isn't just another show. It's a revolution of healing. It's a movement of empowerment and a beacon of hope that we are trying to put out into the world. Together, we're going to explore some powerful strategies to help you overcome trauma, learn tools for deep, lasting healing, and share how cultivating resilience can turn your pain into power. We're really tearing down the walls of silence and lighting up the path to recovery with wisdom, love, and unyielding strength. So, as always, grab your favorite cup of whatever you're drinking this morning and let's get ready to get this conversation started. Remember, you're never on this journey alone. We're here to help support you, to guide you, and to uplift you. So let's get empowered, let's get healed, let's get happy. And joining us again is Tara Bennett Smith. She was here on Monday. She decided to pop back in with us today. Welcome.
Hello again, Leanne.
Good. How's your week been?
It's been busy, but good. It's been good. Like I said, I woke up this morning, everything else is profit. And I'm trying to remember that. On some days, it gets a little challenging.
Yes, I've been. This topic is so apropos to me today because I feel like I have been bouncing back and forth with some things that have happened recently. And that trauma, those trauma triggers will rear their ugly little head at the worst times.
Yes.
Least expected, and it lets you know, it really goes to show that healing is a journey, not a destination. I say this all the time. It is a journey. It is not a destination. There's never going to be a day where you can say, you know what? I'm healed. I am healed and I will never have. There's always something that will try to trigger you back, that can trigger you back different levels. But it's about how do we navigate that? How do we make sure that we have tools and resources and a support system to help us not get lost and consumed back in the old trauma? So
Yeah, it's I don't think, like I said before, I don't think there's one person out there can say that they have not had some type of traumatic something. Now, there are different levels, obviously, but I think we all, and it may not even be, it could be something that your boss did or somebody at your job did, something as simple as that triggered us and that lives with us. And what happens is a smell, a word, a song, any small thing can reignite that. And now you find yourself, what it feels like is back in the same place that you thought you'd gotten rid of, but you just learn to, you have tools to learn to work with it,
Yes, to work yourself through it, because definitely like something somebody will say or an action somebody will take that makes you feel a certain way and you're like, ooh, okay, I wasn't expecting that. Wasn't expecting that. For me, I'm not an overly emotional person. So when I
Mm.
have something that triggers me and it makes me very emotional, where I cannot respond in a rational way because I'm responding out of emotion, it's like, okay, I got to sit back and process that. I got to
Yeah.
sit back and process and be like, okay, what's going on? And most recently, I realized where a lot of that trauma was centered around my father, who was never in my life, who was, you know, and my mother, who died when I was very young. And so I've always had this issue with abandonment. I've always had an issue with commitment. Um, I have what's called an anxious attachment style,
Mhm.
meaning, I if I feel like you're acting, so me and you are friends, you do something different from what I normally expect of you,
Mhm.
automatically you
It's a
don't
red
love
flag.
me, you don't like me. It's the major red flag.
Well, you
And
know what's interesting? I would say what's really funny is you just, from what you just said, and based on my last visit here, I truly don't believe that there are any coincidences. I believe that everything is aligned and everything
Mhm.
has a purpose. I believe today there's a purpose for
Yeah,
you and I to be doing this again, where our backgrounds, just from the little bit you told me, first of all, when's your birthday? You said you're Cancer.
yeah, July 3rd.
Okay, I'm June 29th. Okay.
Mhm.
So we're both cancers. We both lost our mothers at pivotal ages. Both of
Mhm.
our fathers are kind of like, you know, we both have trauma attached to that. And
Yeah.
today's subject is trauma. And today I'm back on your show with just the two of us talking.
Yes, yes. I agree with you. I do not believe in coincidences. I believe in divine interventions.
Hmm.
You
So
know.
it feels like this is meant to be a conversation for someone, from two people who can really tell you from, our experience, that sounds a little bit like we have similarities in that area,
Yes.
very
Yes.
similar. I lost my mother not as young as you, but I was 16, a very pivotal age.
Yeah.
But prior to that, I lost her emotionally, from because she was so in such a physical abusive situation that she left a long time ago,
Yeah.
and it became my duty in my brain, my duty to make sure that she was okay. So at a young age, at 4, is when I began fighting for my mother.
Yeah.
So from 4 all the way up to 16, it was a constant, I got to protect her. I got to protect her. And then when she died, it's this, I didn't do a good enough job. You could have done this and you could have done that. So now I'm
Mhm.
traumatized.
Yes. And it was
with
never your
people.
job.
Yeah, I'm
And how do you
traumatized.
tell that little girl that it was never her job to protect
And
her
I
mother?
and I've done that and I continue to do that. But I have to, it's that thing where I have to protect myself from falling back into that trap, which means I cannot watch the news. I cannot watch anything that sets me off like this, because I'm automatically going into, okay, what do I need to do? If I'm watching the news, Leanne, this literally is where I go. If there's a fire, that they're showing a fire, my brain goes to, okay, if I'm in a fire with my kids, I got to do this, this. I'm always prepping,
Mm.
save them. And I said, this is not how to live. This is not the energy also I want to give out. So constantly, I just go, so you don't watch the news. You don't put yourself, you watch things that uplift you. And people go, well, how do you know what's going on in the world? Listen, let me tell you something. People love bad news. They love to share it. They will call.
Yes. They're gonna
I don't,
let you know.
they will let me know. I don't have to. Are you near that fire? Did you hear that blah, blah, blah? Did you? So I just said, I have to protect myself from what I know my triggers are. And that is a big one for me, you
I
know?
stopped I stopped watching the news after 9/11 because for 2 weeks, me, my daughter, and my two boys, they were like two. Okay, they were small.
How
For
old is your daughter?
She is now
Which,
33.
how much older of them is? how much older is she?
She is, they're like 25, so she's like 7, 8 years older than me.
So you have boys?
Twin boys.
Oh
They're not
my
my
God. Okay,
they're not they're not my natural born children, but those are my boys. Yeah.
I gotta walk away. I gotta walk away. I gotta walk away. But I'm not because I'm on your show. I have twin
Right.
boys that are 25,
Oh wow.
and I have a daughter who's older.
Oh wow. This is definitely divine intervention, Tara. Oh my God. But that's 9/11. We sat for 2 weeks straight and watched those planes crash into that building
Mm,
over
mm.
and over and over. And like I said, my boys were like 2 or something like that. They were
Yeah.
depressed. They were depressed. And I was like, I cannot continue. I'm tired of everything the news spews is negative,
Hmm.
especially when it's around Black people.
Yep.
And that's when I stopped watching the news. I don't
Yeah,
watch.
I stopped a long time prior because, and I watched a little bit of it, but then it started to make me crazy. I couldn't even watch that, you
Mm,
know. But I emotionally can't do it. I
social
emotionally
media
can't,
gives me enough.
emotionally do a movie that breathes and brings that energy because, and I'm in the movie business. I direct movies.
I
I
was about
get
to say, how does that? I say, how does that work? If
it's
you're in.
it's and it's ironic. It's just recently I directed this project, and it was kind of a suspense, um, uh, emotionally tortured kind of thing. But and it was good that I did it because I got to see that okay, you're not gonna die emotionally if you do this because it's you shoot. It's so separated when you shoot little
Yeah,
bits, little bits. But it's just not. I just like to feel good, so I'd rather do things that make me feel good. You
look,
know.
look. I totally get it. I that's my. The older I get, right? So I'm 52 now.
Hmm.
The older I get, the more that is my focus
Yeah.
on doing things that bring me joy. That's that's where that whole business came from. Is I just want to help women, Black women, wake up happy every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. And to do that, we have to confront the trauma head on. We
Yep.
cannot continue to keep pushing it to the back, locking it away in another little part of our soul. And we've got all of these little holes in our soul, you know.
No, you're absolutely right. But we are, like we're taught, we don't deal with the pain. We just push it away because that says there's something wrong with us. I don't even understand all that. That, and also it's very hard for a lot of people to to go and what they call dig up the trauma. Because yeah, it's a very hard place to revisit.
Yeah, for
But
people to sit in that pain.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's so
for,
necessary for healing. It's
mhm,
so necessary, and to not repeat the patterns. Because I mean, man, I had every opportunity to repeat the pattern,
yeah,
and I could see it happening in my life. The abuse, all of that stuff. It was like, wow, this is how magical this universe is. You keep doing something long enough, you will bring it back to you in this lifetime. When it wasn't even something that was technically physically happening to me, it was happening to my mother, but because I was there and because I
yeah,
witnessed it, it became an adrenaline rush for me. It became
yeah,
something that my body craved. And next thing I know, I'm in an abusive relationship that's very similar and had to really see, okay, this will be your life if you don't do the work now to fix this. This
yeah,
will be how your life will play out. And I had to, it was hard, but I did it because I did not want to continue down that path and then pass that down to my daughter or whomever.
yeah. And I want to go back to one thing that you said because culturally, our culture really shapes how we process trauma. because one, we've never been afforded the ability to be vulnerable and to be weak. We didn't have time for that. We had to raise these kids and do it by ourselves because we've been institutionalized is not the right word. We've been taught that we don't need the men in in our lives, in our household, right? They've been systemically removed from our households, so that puts the weight on us. We've been told that we're strong. You're strong. You're strong. You're strong, which means we can't be weak. We don't know how to be weak. No one's ever taught us it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be scared, to not know what you're doing, to not have all the answers, right? And so, in a lot of our communities, Black communities, resilience is celebrated over vulnerability, right? I think that, especially when we're taught we don't go to therapy, that's for crazy people. What happens in our house stays in our house, which is another way to perpetuate the trauma and to keep it going, because nobody wants to be shamed. And so it's like, I applaud when we step out of that and when we say, I'm not going to pass this down to my children. I'm going to stop the cycle here. I'm going to get the help for me. We need that. And we need to break the silence. We need to say, no, you're not going to silence me anymore. I'm going to tell my story, And hey, Tanya, good morning. Good morning. Sharonda is out this morning. She is traveling, so she'll be back next Thursday. So you're gonna have me, hope it's all right. But we're having a good conversation.
Yes, we are.
Today we are talking about trauma and really confronting that trauma with courage so that we can be on our healing journey.
You know what else I want to add to that, and maybe you can attest to this too, is that when I think I would have benefited when my mother passed away from therapy. Like somebody saying, these kids have no father, they now have no mother.
Yep.
Let's get them someplace that can support them in this, as opposed to putting them, and we weren't in foster care, but we were with family. But the family is dealing with their own set of conditioning, behaviors, blueprints, as I call it, which isn't always the healthiest because they're not healthy within themselves. But they don't understand that to be true because to them they're just doing them, But the dialogue was so unhealthy that it was passed on. So these kids who are now traumatized by losing their mother is now being technically traumatized again by this verbal situation that is normal for some people.
Yep.
So I often thought, man, wouldn't it be wonderful if somebody would have said, hey, we should get them in a free program, even if they're free programs, for kids to go to when they're dealing with trauma or the loss of a loved one, to help to find healthy ways to heal, But you're just kind of saying, okay, throw back into in the lines then with all the lines, and let's just keep life moving. That's what it is. Your mother died. That's what it is. Like, wow.
Yeah, get over it. Get over it.
Yeah, get over it. So, and trauma, man. When I first moved out to LA, there was a big earthquake, so that was number one. Then I got pulled over by the police in such a fashion that to this day, if there's a cop car behind me, I have anxieties because, I was going to a callback for some TV show, and all of a sudden I hear, get out of the car. And I'm looking around like, well, they can't be talking about me. I got on my little white outfit. And I hear it again with a lot of other words added in there. And I look out my window and I look up and I see guns pointed at me from the
Oh,
rooftop, from, and then I'm looking, oh my God, they're talking to me. I was surrounded by guns. That thing had me to this day. If a cop car pulls up behind me, I'm shaking.
yeah.
Yeah, I was traumatized, you know. And
Definitely.
basically they just went through my car. Oh, we heard a description of a car that looked like this, whatever. It doesn't even matter, all of that stuff. But the fact that what it did to me, it will be forever. You know, it's like I'm still working on how to manage that, because
Mm-hmm.
it left a mark that if I hear a siren, my and that was in 89,
Mm.
89, 90. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I
we have to really find ways to deal with trauma in a way that is
Mhm.
healing, because who wants to keep carrying this around? And the longer you carry it around, the more cemented it becomes,
Yes,
you
and
know?
look, this is the funny thing. We have so many similarities. So, growing up, my mother died when I was 4. Okay. She was murdered.
Mm,
And for years, I would have nightmares. I was afraid of any
mm,
siren that I have, because I would have this recurring dream that I'd be playing down at uh, my friend's house down the street. He lived on the next block. And the sirens would come, like an ambulance, a police, whatever. I would immediately, wherever I was, I would drop everything and I'm running home, because that's how scared I was. But in my dream, I would go in, and in the living room, there was a casket in the middle of our living room. That, like, so for probably until I was about 9 or 10, I could not deal with um, any sort of siren type
mm,
thing. I was leaving wherever I was. I'm getting a panic attack.
mhm.
And people don't realize, like you said, we have to find ways to navigate and to manage this so
Mhm.
that it doesn't continue to take over your whole life,
Right.
because it colors who you talk to, how you engage with anybody, who I trust, don't trust. You know, your trauma takes over your life, how you see yourself, how you see the world, how you experience everything.
Yep.
And if we don't fix it, we're going, you end up, like you said, repeating the same kind of habits and things. And then you pass those on to your children unknowingly.
And habits become your behavior when you don't get it treated, or you don't, and then next thing you know, your behavior is just what you do every day. And you're not even aware that you're doing it every day. It's just what you do.
Yes.
It's just what
Yes.
you
It's
know.
what we do. You think it's a no. I'm just to the point. I'm just direct and to the point, and if people can't do it,
Then too bad for them. It's
right.
like this
That's
is
what
nothing
trauma
wrong
was.
with being honest and direct, but hurtful and direct, it's that comes from another place. Speaking truth is always a wonderful thing.
Yeah, but there are ways to do it. Like you said, there are ways to do it that's not harmful to other people. I was in a training class, and um, it's a mastermind, and if you want the replays, like, it's $11 a year for this mastermind. They do set classes every Friday, hour and a half, 2 hour classes, $11 a year. Now you don't get the replays. That's 97 like dollars a month. So some woman says, you know what? My birthday just happened, and I told myself I was going to speak my truth. And she was like, this is a scam, and you're at this. And we were like, um, there are better ways. Nobody is telling you not to tell your truth. But one, you don't know this man. You don't know his program. You don't know anything that he is doing. No one is forcing you to purchase anything. Sometimes we speak out of our fear, out of our pain, out of our hurt.
Hold on. Hmm.
There are ways that you can say it. You can say, hey, I don't think I should have to purchase anything, without trying to be malicious and hurt somebody else. And yes, Tanya, hurt people hurt people. That's what they do. You all right over there? Everything good over there? Look.
Zoom. I'm sorry, my son is calling me. He thought I was taking him, but I told his brother to take him. So keep talking. I just got to clear this up.
Yep, go right on ahead. So let's talk about some this is a good question. What are some good misconceptions about trauma that typically encountered, right? One of the misconceptions I do think is that a lot of times when people think of trauma, they really think that it's linked to physical violence, right? Or if you didn't react immediately to the trauma, you weren't truly affected. Trauma is not always just around physical violence, mental, emotional trauma. I think when people think trauma, they do tend to think more physical. You're being abused, you're being whatever. Sometimes that abuse is emotional,
Verbal.
okay, verbal. It's not always somebody hit you. And sometimes the verbal and the emotional,
is worse.
you wish somebody had hit you,
Mm-hmm.
because it gets into your soul and it changes how you look at and feel about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just because a person doesn't react immediately doesn't mean they're not affected. Some people are masters at shoveling it away real quick because they can't process. They cannot process and handle it at that moment. Some people have delayed reactions to trauma, right? So just because there wasn't an immediate impact, it does not mean that you're not suffering the results of trauma, that you don't have it in your life, right? So I want us to really think about the things that are happening in our lives. Think about the reactions that you have, because to me, I think it's important for us to understand our triggers. When you understand your triggers, it makes it easier for you to navigate whatever it is that's going on. Because now I can come not from an emotional standpoint, but more of a logical standpoint. Okay, this is starting to happen. I tell people all the time, mindfulness will help you, because you then start to be aware of what's going on with my body. How am I feeling in this moment? Why am I feeling this way? What happened to cause me to feel this way? And as you start to know those triggers and figure out what's happening and how your body is responding, you can now dig into your tool chest, your toolkit, and figure out, how can I respond to this in the best way for my health, my wellness?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Very true. But that goes back to what we were talking about the other day, which is, you really have to take accountability first. You have to take accountability, because if you don't know that if you're not self-evaluating and understanding that there are things that are going on within you, and stop pointing the finger at, well, if they would just do this, then I would feel this. It's always, that saying, when you point one finger, three are pointing back at you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beginning of it. I used to tell my kids, especially my daughter, one thing, and she would say, and then such and such did this to me, and then Diane, and she came, and then when she got right at the age where I thought she could understand it, we were talking one day, and I said, okay, let's go back to, remember in elementary school when you said Georgia did something, 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 and then you went to kind of middle school and you said such and such did something, 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 with similar things. I said, and now you're in high school and you're saying that such and such did something, 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 and it's kind of the same thing these other three people did. I said, do they know each other? Well, no. I said, who's the common denominator here?
Mhm.
Well, me. I said, yeah, you're the only person that showed up in all three scenarios that was familiar with the scenarios. I said, so who do you think needs to be looked at right now? Well,
Right.
me. I said, yeah, you. I said, when you show up differently, it will be different. I said, so
Yes.
now it's time for you to start looking at it in a different perspective, from a different perspective. And she did an exercise I gave her, and she came and she said, it was so different today because I da da da. I said, yes, you took control and stopped pointing the finger at what everyone's doing to you and said, okay, if I don't like this, let's do a pattern. And I gave her an opportunity to do a pattern interrupt. I said, let's interrupt that pattern now. So this doesn't follow you into college years because
Yes.
now you have tools to know how to interrupt it when you see it coming. And that became the process. So, but most people are not aware of that. And they may not have a you, a Leanne, or a Tara in their
Mhm.
lives who've done all this work, can now give them tools from their experience to say, okay, now it's your opportunity to take these tools and put them to work. Most of us are still dealing with, the pointing the finger at you, because if when you change, I'm going to feel better. When you do this, I'm going to feel better. With my father, when I realized the day I realized he couldn't do anything more than what he did. This was the best that he could do with the tools that he had. So why
Mhm.
am I mad and holding this grudge as somebody who didn't know any better? When you think about what our parents, and especially what our black men, I mean, black men and women, but let's just talk about the black man, all the stuff that they had to endure
Yes.
just try to be a man in this society, try to be the manly, thing that they taught you're supposed to protect your family. And they can barely protect themselves out in this society because of
Yes.
how they've been treated, you know, but we expect them to be better, to be bigger, to be bolder, to be more out there when they don't have any tools. Now,
Mhm.
we get to a certain age, like us, and we decided to take the horse by the rein and go, okay, no, I'm fixing this. But everybody does not do that, and everybody doesn't have an awareness that they're able to do that. We're kind of thinking that this is the tools that I was given. I mean, this is the life that I was given, and this is the life I'm stuck with, unless I win the lottery.
Right. Now, I was watching this because I completely agree. I was watching this show, and what did the guy say? He said, I thought this stuck with me so much. He was like, your parents or whomever loved you to the capacity that they could give. Your capacity was 100. Their capacity was 20.
Mm-hmm.
They gave you all the 20 that they have. It would never fill you up
Mm-hmm.
because they were incapable of giving you that. And we, like you said, we have to, at some point, we have to take accountability for our own healing. Nobody else is going to heal you, nobody's going to save you. You have to say, I want differently,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to invest
In me.
in me.
Mm-hmm.
And when you make that decision, sometimes just making that decision, you feel lighter,
Yes.
right? And then you have to actually take action on it. We're not just
That
about
part.
words here. We're not just about words here. We're about action. So we're
That
going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some strategies for
mm-hmm.
overcoming trauma. So you're tuned into the Wake Up Happy Sis Show on KCCR Cityscape Radio, and we'll be right back after these words. Hey, sis. Ever feel like you're on the verge of a meltdown? Are you overwhelmed from juggling your job, your family, and trying to fit in me time, but seriously dropping the ball on that last one? Guess what? You're not alone. Introducing the Burnout Recovery Kit. It's your 14-day lifeline to go from burnt out to lit up. Get ready to reclaim your joy, energy, and that I got this attitude. Grab your free ebook, a purpose-driven workbook, daily email prompts, as well as SMS boosters and Q&A sessions. It's like a spa day for your soul, and guess what? It's totally free. Don't waste another minute feeling drained. Go to officialburnoutrecoverykit.com right now and kickstart your transformation. The Burnout Recovery Kit, because you deserve to be at the top of your own to-do list. Don't just cope. Thrive, sis. And we're back. This is a drop-in show, so if you would like to drop in and chat with us for the last 30 minutes of the show, you can head on over to WUH as in Harry S and Sam.in/join the live, all one word. And you can come on in, but keep it clean, keep it respectful, because we're on play. So we've got Tara Bennett Smith here with us, and we're having such a great talk about how are we confronting our trauma with courage? How are we getting past our trauma? How are we taking ownership and accountability for our healing and for our happiness ultimately? And I wanted to talk about some strategies that can help us kind of navigate our trauma. First is always get professional help. Stop thinking that you can go it alone or just with your good girlfriends. They're wonderful, but unless one of them is a therapist, a life coach, or whatever, somewhere in there, they're not equipped. They're not equipped to deal with that. And sometimes we're trauma dumping on our friends. Sometimes we're trauma dumping. We just think we are, I just need to get this off my chest. But sometimes you're dumping your trauma and you're leaving the residue with them. And you're still no better off than you were before because you're not being taught how to deal with it, how to find out what is the root cause of your pain, of your anguish, of your hurt, your anger. Mm-hmm. Right? That would be the first tip I would say is make sure you're getting professional help. It's okay. You know, this new generation, one of these millennials, baby, they will go to a therapist or whatever in a minute. Will quit a job. This is not. They will quit a job, don't have another job to go to, and you will not affect their mental like that. And I love that.
And they're blessed. You know, social media has a blessing and a curse in it because one of the things that they're learning, because my daughter does a lot of this work and, you know, empowering young people. And she's saying, man, when I first started this, when I was young, because she was always trying to do this, she said, people weren't all involved in it. She said, now it's everywhere. I said, because social media, they can share that information. You know, hey, I've been doing this. And one person before, we'd have to watch it on the 4 television channels that we had if it came on there, you know. Encyclopedia didn't have workshops and things on that we could go on. There was no YouTube that we could watch to see somebody talking about empowerment. You know, there was the church services that came on Sunday morning, and that's kind of it. If it wasn't a Christian or some other kind of base religious church service, there was nothing. So now these young people, they have a plethora of information to go, oh, I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to be better. I know this is not the way, and they're jumping aboard. You know, and I piggyback with you on the thing with the friends. I said, you know, most people will give you information based on where they are. And if they're not even evolved in themselves, you know, they will be the yes pity party. Yes, that's right, girl. But not really offering you anything that would make it better. So you got to pick and choose who you give that information to, you know, because they were people. That's right. Break up with him, you know, that's right. Don't be bothered with that. And not even understanding the whole story. They just take your side. So there's so much work to be done in that area. But like you said, professional help, a life coach, somebody who's doing the work so that they can give you feedback from a very healthy perspective that will help you and not just amen corner you.
Say that again, okay? Because that's not what we need. We need people who are going to be honest with us and tell us, okay, there's something else going on here,
Mm-hmm.
right? How do we get to the bottom of that? How do we help you manage this,
Mm-hmm.
get through this? Another tip is I think we have to start trying to change our internal narratives, right? Because our trauma, it shaped part of our journey. It shaped that path behind us. But it does not have to define the path in front of you,
Yeah.
right? So we have to shift from that narrative of being a victim to survivor and then to thriver, because we don't want to stop at survivor. Survival mode is what got us here, and we have to thank that child, that young person who made those decisions that got us to where we are now. You in survival mode, you cannot live the rest of your life, you should not live your life in survival mode. You want to go from victim, survivor, thriver.
Mm-hmm.
that's that's our goal. We don't want to just survive, we want to thrive,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when we change that internal narrative that says, yes, I may have been broken before, but I am healing every day. And I am not going to repeat these things, and I'm not going to continue to let these things run my life, because that's what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
We have to reframe it. Stop, like you said, stop. He hurt me, she hurt me, they hurt. What are you doing to fix it? How are
Mm-hmm.
you going to fix yourself? Because we cannot continue to blame everyone else for our lack of happiness.
I mean, you can. You totally can do whatever you want to do, but how's that working for you?
Right,
You
right.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, how's that working for you?
How's
Is
that
that
working
really getting you anywhere?
Yep. And your will to be better has got to be stronger than your will to stay in what's comfortable. The uncomfortableness of the comfortableness of the uncomfortable, and your will to be better. Because then the exciting thing about doing the work is that once you see the small shifts, it excites you to want more, and excites you also to realize how powerful you are, that you can change the narrative that you were giving. You can redesign that blueprint. We feel like we're stuck in the narrative that our family gave us, or stuck with the
Mm-hmm.
blueprint that was handed down because, well, my aunt them was like this, my sister was. I remember somebody told me one time, uh, well, in my family, well, high blood pressure runs in our family. And I said, yeah, well, it's gonna run past me because I'm not claiming that. I'm not doing that. And y'all can take all the medications y'all want. That's just not who I am. And I'm not saying
Yeah,
anything against you. I'm just saying it's gonna have to run by me because I'm not claiming that that's something that we all do. So that now I'm just buying into the fact that I do it too. No,
exactly.
because everybody doesn't have it. So that doesn't mean everybody has to have it.
Period. I
You know?
Look, we change, you can change anything about your story. And I agree with God. Sometimes we want to change, but it doesn't happen because of that fear. Yes, the fear of the unknown, but we get comfortable in our trauma space.
Mhm.
It's comfortable.
It's our identity.
I know, yeah, I know this devil here. At least I
Mhm.
know this one. And I know if when somebody such and such comes home and they're in the mood, I go into my closet and I hide in the closet and I'm gonna be all right. I know this fear, I know this devil. It's familiar. May not be comfortable, but it's familiar. And if I go over here, I don't know what's going to happen. I would much rather be over there. I figured that out a long time ago.
Yeah,
Not
your
really.
brain.
I'm still working, and I'm still working through things. There is no person in the world that is perfect, that has every answer. Your
No.
therapist probably has a therapist.
Oh, I know therapists who have therapists because they still have this stuff. A friend of mine is dealing with that right now. She says, I had to go to a therapist because I'm not able to get out of my own way with this.
Yeah.
I had an ex-boyfriend, that one of the ones I told you that I went through an abusive relationship with. That was one of the biggest lessons of my life because I had no idea that, what I grew up with as a child would manifest into my adulthood.
Mm.
That became my blueprint. And but it was interesting how I told his mother one time something. I don't remember exactly what I told her, but her remedy for me was don't ever let him see you cry, honey. Just go in the bathroom and close the door and cry. And I remember looking at her like, you really think your son's worth all that? That I gotta go in the bathroom but it told me a lot about her,
Yeah.
and why her son is the way he is, and because she did not have a foundation to stand in her truth. So she went and she hid and she cried. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, he's not all that. First of all, let's start there. Second of
It's
all, I may be in my head a little bit or lost a little bit here. I said, but I'm on my way out of this. I said, I'm going to do the work to get out of this, and this will never happen again. And each time I started to look at my relationships after that, they became an exercise to see how much I've healed myself and how much I've growth because the abuse got less. It went from physical to a little bit of physical to then to verbal, then to emotional, then to y'all all can kiss my behind because unless you come correct, I don't want none of y'all in my life until this makes good sense for my soul.
yes.
That was me doing the work through. I couldn't just sit in and go, well, it needs to stop. No, I had to do my work and I had to constantly. So it's paying attention. You got to pay attention to the correlations. You got to pay attention to the what's the word I'm looking for? The things that repeat, the repeated patterns.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I had to look at all of my boyfriends or people I was dating and go, like I told my daughter, do they know each other? No. But you find that you're in some type of abusive thing in each of them. You're the only one here who's been in all of them. They don't know each other.
You
Fix you.
picking,
Fix
you picking
you.
the same person, different face.
Picking the same person, different faces and names. But
Yeah.
every time I did the work, the situation got lessened and lessened and lessened and lessened until I just said, okay, we're done with this now. But it took work.
It takes work, and you have to not be afraid of the work
Yeah.
because this is what I tell people, there is so much beauty on the other side of that pain, on the
Yeah.
other side of that trauma. But you have to do the work to get there. You're going to have to sit in that pain sometimes and process it, really process it, and understand where it came from and how it's made you feel, how it's made you look at yourself in the world and other people, how you engage with life or don't engage with life, right? So we have to do the work to heal ourselves. Like I said, nobody's coming to save you.
Mhm. One of the other tools that I've learned to do so that, for me, because I find that sometimes this is proven to be a really good uplifting shift
Mm.
is find when I go to find something that I like to say vibrates on a higher level. And I'll explain that. Find something that makes me feel good. Like music, I put on some music
First
and
of
it
all,
just shifts me like that.
stop us being in sync like that because baby, I've always got music on in my house.
Music is my uplift. Now it may be watching comedy for you. It may be
Mhm.
cooking in the kitchen and it may be painting, whatever that thing is that immediately sends your energy into a whole other place. Use
Yes.
that as your replacement. When you find that you are going down that rabbit hole of, oh my God, my life, immediately remove yourself and go to put on something, do something that breaks that momentum of that thing,
Yeah.
and then live there. And if you're too deep in the rabbit hole, take a doggone nap. Because and then when you wake up, you have an opportunity to make the shift again. because now you're kind of coming back in fresh. So I find that replacing it with something that makes me feel good automatically is a program interrupter. It will interrupt it and it send me on a higher energetic field where now I'm having a good time. And you tend to, one of the things that you tend to attract more of where you are when wherever you are. You know, people say, boy, one thing went wrong, everything went wrong today. Yeah, because you're in the wrong mindset.
Attracting to
So
you.
everything you're bringing to you and everything that's around you is going to be things that align with that. So the same thing's going to happen when you're feeling good. You know, all of a
Mhm.
sudden somebody will call you, then you're laughing. All of a sudden somebody say, hey girl, let's go out. I got some free tickets to the club, or I'm going out to this jet. And you're going to find that that's going to be the momentum. So break
Yeah.
the habit. And there's a really good book, you guys, if you want to read. Just made me think of it. Joe Dispenza, his name is, and he's got a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And he talks a lot about understanding the chemical thing that happens in our body. He's a neuroscience person, and he talks about why it's so hard to break our habits because it's a chemical thing too.
Mhm.
So people say, go do a vision board and go blah, 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 blah. That works as long as you're looking at the vision board 24/7 and reminding yourself, okay, this is where I'm. But the moment you put that vision board down, life comes back. And now you're finding you're right back where you were. But when you understand that there is a chemical thing that happens in our body with trauma, that's why when the cops pull up behind me, it's chemical. My body remembers this feeling and it automatically has more of that chemical response. So when we understand that, then we can find tools to navigate around that, which then helps you to move on.
Yes. And I want to go back to kind of that creative expression, right? Because that's what you were doing, replacing with something creative.
Mhm.
Because painting, writing, dancing, singing, planting, getting in the dirt and planting flowers, a lot of times what it also does, one, it's going to raise our vibration, it's going to make us feel better, it's going to release the what is it, serotonin, the
Mhm.
happy vibes. But it also can help you process your emotions in a way that words can't always capture. You can't always verbalize what you're feeling or whatever. And sometimes that doing something creative, that switching up and getting a good vibe, yes, dopamine, thank you, is what can help you process through those emotions, right? You can write about it if you journal, or write a rap song about it, write a real song, write music, right? Sometimes just doing something fun that is just going to totally help change your perception.
Mhm.
A lot of times perception is reality, right? So once we do that, we're in a new mindset, yes. But also make sure you got a good network around you, because I think that's important too,
Yeah.
right? You need to have people around you, like you said, that are not yes men and women, people that are going to hold space for you, chest chuck you if you need it. And that includes professional help. It's not all your friends. Your support network is professional and personal. And then do some research on your own. There is so much information out there. You can all, to me, knowledge is power. You know about trauma, know about chemical imbalances, know about certain things. We're not saying try to become an expert on it, but I've been researching, which is how I realized I have this anxious attachment style. And I was like, boy, she just done read my whole life. I do that. I do that. Oh my God, I do every damn thing she said. And sometimes you don't know you're doing it.
Mm.
You just think you're going about your life.
Mhm.
And when I was like, I don't want to be this emotional mess. I want to be able to process my emotions, to feel my emotions, but not be operating out of that emotional state, you know? And I go off on people because I felt like they were treating me differently, you know? And I'm like, I don't want to be that. That's not how, because now, then tomorrow, when I've had time to process what I was feeling, now I've got to go back and apologize, right? So it's like, what are some things that I do? Deep breathing. Just take a minute, walk away, remove yourself from whatever it is and walk away. Deep breathing. There's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique that engages all of your senses to help ground you during this traumatic episode or flashback that you're having. So you identify 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing that you can taste. And it's just to reframe your mind, right? To help change your shift your energy. There's a lot of different things that we can do. And you just have to find the thing or things that work for you. Because what works for me, oh, here we go. Like one of the things, okay, Tanya.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the things I have people do is write a love letter to themselves and not no one paragraph. Write a real love letter because we have to learn how to fall in love with ourselves again.
Yes.
And that requires us to heal because sometimes we don't love the version of ourselves that we are in the moment. How do we love her when we don't feel like we are lovable because of the trauma? That's one of the things I've dealt with my mother um, dying at a young when I was young, with my father not being or choosing not to be in my life. I felt I was unlovable,
Mm-hmm.
unworthy of love. Why wasn't I good enough for them to stay and love me? Right. So I have to do the work to tell myself that yes, you are lovable, you are worthy of love, you deserve love. And it starts with me loving me. So we write that letter. I'm telling you, when you write that love letter to yourself, it, you know, it's going to change how you view yourself, how you see yourself. And I'm glad that it helped you, Tanya, because that's the goal. We have to love ourselves first because that's how we show other people how to love us, right? We've got about 2 minutes left. This hour went so fast.
I know.
So, is there anything that you would like to, any last thoughts you would like to share with anybody, with the listeners, or and share how they can connect with you?
Well, yeah, you can connect with me on IG at the Tara Bennett Smith, which is the spelling of my name down there. Yeah, you can connect me there. I also have an organization called Reclaim Haven, where we specialize in working with women and doing workshops and things like that. Um, I just want to leave with, there's nothing more exciting than feeling like you have control over yourself and that you're not doomed to what someone gave you years ago or what, how you were raised, and that you can move away from that and you're not destined to live out the life that you don't want, that you have more control and you can. So once you understand that and once you see a glimpse of that by doing the work, just small little pieces of it, that's all it's going to take for you to go, wow, I remember I wanted something to change and I started doing that and that happened. Well, shoot, I can do that here. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the bigger it gets, the more empowered you feel. So I
Yeah,
would encourage you all to take the small steps. If reach out to Leanne. If this, you obviously know her, you're welcome to reach out to me, but and start doing that work because it changes your life.
it does.
It changes your life, and you no longer feel like, no matter what it's looking like, that this is where you're stuck, this is where you're destined. You can
Yeah.
change your blueprint and rewrite a script I'm going to rewrite me a fabulous script for today because I'm
Hey,
dealing with the challenge, but I decided that I'm having me a better script today. And
yeah.
and and I'm about to go live it out. So y'all can join me. Pick your script and go live it out. That's what
And
I would.
that's you get to write, you get to do it your day over every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day is a new day for you to try it again, to get it right
Mm-hmm.
the next time, right? We're not stuck with anything. You can change everything about you so that you can learn how to wake up happy every day. That's our goal. And some days we do, some days we don't, but it's about knowing the days that we don't. How do I quickly shift my energy to happy? So this is what I want to leave y'all with. Okay. As I say every day, I want you to have the day that you were meant to have because you get to choose how you respond to the things that happen to you. Choose abundance, choose love, choose life, choose light, choose different, choose healing. The other side is beautiful, it's lovely, it's wonderful. Come and join us on that side. You can head on over to wakeuphappysis.com to learn more about me and what I do. And I would love to be able to help you. And I want to thank you, Tara, for being here again today. Had a
Colin B.
great time talking to you today. You're welcome to come back anytime and hang out with us on the show. We would love to have you back.
Yeah,
And with
Thursday
that,
is a good day for me.
yes,
Yes. So, yeah. But
great.
thank you for allowing me to come back because this is healing for me just the same. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? People always think that when you're sitting here talking that you're talking to them. No, this is about me. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all hope y'all take from it because I'm taking from Leanne and I'm taking from my own words. They're just reminding me of what I need to do today.
that's
So
right.
thank you for giving me an opportunity to be my bigger, better, bolder, better self, as I like to say.
Amen. And with that, we will see y'all on Monday.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Wake Up Happy Sis on KCCR The Brownstone. Make sure